1. So I think we must be live out there on the internets. Good afternoon, I'm Marijuana Man. This is From Under the Influence. And I remain in that state, the capital of that state of influence. Welcome to the show. It's Wednesday here in Vancouver. And we're coming to you from across the land by having with us Mr. Cookie from Sudbury.
Sudbury, Ontario.
Sudbury, Ontario.
We're here today having a scorcher. Hey, everybody out there. Get high, watch a show.
The last time Mr. Cookie joined us a couple of weeks ago, he had to have a fire going there in the shed. Keep warm now. It's 200 degrees.
Now I'm like, it's like a sauna.
Yeah.
An all-day sauna.
Still burning a fire, but
just a smaller one though. Softwood, it's not very hot.
But the only saving grace outside there for you, I guess, under those searing temperatures would be the shade provided to you from the flies that are out there.
The black flies, yeah, they just shade all around.
They shade. It's 28 degrees, 25 under the flies. Yes, a terrible thing. I don't know. I don't see any chat for these kind of Zoom presentations. But
yeah, I don't know where it would be. I guess it'd be on the Facebook or wherever it's thing, but we're not anything to do with that. We're like projected onto that platform.
Yes, we are that platform. We've created our own platform here under the times of staying at home, as has most of the world. Everybody, I think there was a poll taken or a study done where they found that now everyone is online live. Everybody's got a show and nothing to do.
They don't even go out anymore. It's just like they wake up in the morning. I do it all the time. I wake up in the morning, I'll have like coffee and joints. I'll go like on Instagram live or something, be like, hey everyone, smoke a couple joints, go fucking do some work. And then even like on the lunch break, I'll do the same thing. I'm like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah. That's what everyone, and that was the reason given in the study why everyone is doing. I didn't know what else to do.
I almost feel like Jimmy, if Jimmy jumps off the bridge, would you? And like in this time, yeah, guaranteed I would. I'd be like, fuck, you probably do it for fun or something.
I'm going to wait till I see Jimmy hit the water.
Wait till he comes up from the water.
Yeah, wait till he comes up and goes, dude, that was fucking great. I'd jump off then.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the things I've seen people fucking fall into in my life. I swear to God, when we were young teenagers riding our bikes, you could go down through the woods and it would end up at this old unused hydro dam that used to be across the river. So at the end of this path, on top of the abutment from this dam was a giant fucking tree. And below that, some, I don't know, 20 feet below, was big jagged pieces of concrete with rebar sticking out of the water, right? And so Buddy, he comes whipping down this path. We'd all gathered at the end, and he comes running through the woods claiming he had no brakes, and we of course all laughed at that. And he smashed right into this tree, or a bicycle that was against the tree, and flipped over this abutment, him and his bike, and smashed. We all fucking froze, waiting to hear. We heard nothing, right? Oh my God, oh my God. I had to run down around this abutment and fucking. But there he was, standing in the midst of this construction chaos, holding his bicycle, unscathed by it all.
I'm
fucking,
okay, guys. And my bike's good too. And you're like,
nah. But I do remember he got in hell with his old man because he was wet coming home. But oh yeah, just dangerous, crazy shit. And most people survive the danger and the mayhem, or they wouldn't be here today.
true, I guess, yeah.
That time I almost got killed. So we're all lucky to be here, I gotta figure. And it continues to be fun as I go. Anyway, you might as well have fun.
It's true. All these kids nowadays, like, well, around here anyway, because it's like small bush town, they all drive like dirt bikes and 4-wheelers and stuff. And they just rip down the road and everything. But I'm just like, fuck, I said, I wonder, like, you know, when we were kids, it was a bicycle and stuff. So it's a little like, you know, yeah, we used to smash up and stuff, but we weren't going that fast. And, you know, with these things, they're going pretty fast.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, like, I guess it was maybe 2 days ago, there was a whole bunch of like, I don't know what you call them, like bush ambulance guys or whatever, and the cops and everyone, like, all up in the bush because some kids, I guess, I don't know what happened, accident of some sort, but they had like the 4x4 ambulance and shit out there. And like, I was like, oh my God, I still don't know what happened, but couldn't have been good, you know? Like,
no, but that's why they let the kids do it. So they get to use the 4x4 ambulance, right? You couldn't have that without the kids doing that, smashing up out there in the bush.
well, I think, yeah, they passed the bylaw in town here that you can drive your 4-wheeler ATV on the road, or well, on the side of the road until you get to the trail, or well, to and from your property to the trail, you know?
So pretty much anywhere.
Well, because there's a trail at each end of town and across one part of the highway, so it's like, technically, yeah, like.
Yeah. Oh no, just go to the trail. Up and down the highway.
Me and my dad were just ripping down the whole street and everything. We don't have plates on their fucking quad. You can't buy plates right now because on Service Ontario is like sort of open but sort of closed. So like Bob Ford said, don't worry about it right now. The stickers for your license plate, all that stuff. Like,
really?
So we're not.
They haven't announced. They haven't announced that here.
No, I know. Here they did. It's insured, and we have like the ownership that that we bought it, so it's all good. But yeah, like my dad's stickers on his car, they're expired because his birthday was like in April, but still riding around with those stickers.
Yeah, mine expired too. You can only fucking do it online with a credit card. I'm sick of that fucking bullshit. No place to go and pay cash for nothing. Not impressed. What the fuck? It's all like that. They're all driving you to use a credit card. And that's fucked. Because that's like a third party money guy. Why do I have to do that?
Yeah, it's like no matter what, even if you get like the cheapest, well, I guess there's probably like free credit cards, but those you need to already have credit probably for a long time. But like, if you just go and get a credit card, most times you have to pay like a little bit of a fee or something, like a little percentage on everything for some reason, like to load it. Oh, at Money Mart, it's like, a couple percentage on what you load or whatever. And then probably a couple percentage on what you spend. I didn't actually look into it, but.
Well, I'd rather give the money to Money Mart. They've always been nice to me.
Me too.
We made, when we were selling seeds downtown Vancouver all those years, the Money Mart on the corner. There's a coffee shop there now, but we made that Money Mart the number one Money Mart in Canada. And fucking, it was also located in the poorest postal code in Canada. That was straight up thanks to Mark. They were always very nice. They never asked any questions and always very pleasant and did whatever we asked them to do. Banks, they go, well, no, No. No, I'm sorry, we can't do that. No, you'll need to. I was in Shoppers Drug Mart the other day, and she said, yeah, fucking, they're like machines, these people behind the cash registers there. All they do is say to you, do you need a bag? Do you have an Optimum card? And do you want a receipt? And anything that you say to them in between that, they don't ever hear. Right? You don't. When you say no, they ask you again, right? No, I still don't use an Optimum card. She said, well, you should. You would get 20% off today. I said, oh, well, why don't you just give me 20% off? What difference could it possibly make? She didn't have an answer for that, but didn't give me 20% off. So there must be something in it for Shoppers Drug Mart. I got to conclude. Right? Fuck you,
Well,
Shoppers Drug Mart.
they get your information. That's what they're paying for.
Walking around with a fucking chip in my wallet as a result. No different than my phone, I suppose, but I took the chip out of my phone and just carry the chip around.
Got to make a call.
Yeah, I'll show you where I am.
Yeah. Yeah, like a phone nowadays, you can't even take out the battery, so I guess it doesn't even matter. Like,
I know nothing about such things. Either work or they don't. Electronics for me. Beyond that, you go, what?
well, yeah,
Computers.
they got you tracked pretty good. Like with my phone, I went through the straight bush, like just bush, no trail marked, nothing to find my drone. And yeah, it was just like holding my phone like this, going like, oh yeah.
Did you find that drone?
Yeah, but it's way up in a tree, so now we have to go on another sort of recovery mission that way.
Huh. Yeah, too bad that you're in Sudbury. You could get a monkey or something.
I know. It's like,
if you lived in the tropics.
yeah, it's high up there. I'm like,
Amazing that you can even find it. Charlie Brown and his poor kites. Right?
yeah, he should have had a GPS on.
He should have had a GPS on.
Nowadays, he'd be laughing. He'd have like all his kites.
Yes, it's crazy time still out there in the world. Now the world is beginning to go, okay, well, you know, we got to get back to doing what we were doing before as quick as we can. And the rage, you know, the back and forth fucking arguments about is it a danger, isn't it a danger, is it a danger, isn't it a danger, who started it, where did it start? Right? I don't know what the fucking difference is, really. You could go, okay, well, it started here and, you know, it's over now and the government doesn't fucking care what you might have to say about it. No, nobody really does. Why would anybody care what I think about it? Really? Doesn't matter. I don't know anything.
And it spread all over the world. Like they're like, oh, it just started in this one spot. I'm like, well, it seemed to spread pretty far and wide just for being over in one little spot. Like,
yeah, we have a much different access to information now than ever before with an occurrence like this. The world is so interconnected and fucking things blow up really fast. Things, right? Way faster than ever before about anything. Certainly not about something like this. So we're much more aware of what's going on than fucking at any time in history. Now, whether or not we actually know what's going on is another thing. And potentially because of that massive amount of information that is available to put out by anyone, right? Anyone put out any information. You go, oh, you can fucking make any page look like a real page.
Oh, I fall for it all the time. Half the stuff I repost is fucking probably fake shit. When I just read a little bit, I'll read the headline. Oh, that seems interesting. Oh, it might be true, or well, you know, and I'll post it. People are like, "That's a big thing." I'm like, "Well, fuck, I just read the headline. Like, I'm not fucking researching a paper here for the fucking New York Times. Like, I'm just posting something on my page. Fuck off."
Yeah. I don't know. So I don't know all this wrangling that goes on, right? I don't know to what end whatsoever. Here, everybody's. I don't know what everybody's doing, but they all be taking sides about it, right?
Yeah, some people are really extreme. Some people are not. Some places are like, oh, whatever. Some places are like, oh, no, no. Like here, it's like, it kind of just happened, I guess, well, May 24 or whatever, but they opened up like the hardware store and the Canadian Tire and stuff. And then now it kind of looks like normal. And then we went down south to get that bike. And it's like right around Cottage Country, Oro and like Aurelia and all that. And it was like midweek, but still like sort of what, like, I guess last week or a couple weeks ago or whatever. But it was just like boom, middle of the summer, everyone getting gas, gassing up all their things, and like no social distancing, no nothing. I was just like, whoa. I was freaked out because I haven't been out like in so long. I was like, what's going on here? Some people are really close to me there. I don't like this.
Oh yeah, it depends on the individual, that's for sure. Oh, you go, wait a second, how come you didn't hear about anything? Why are you walking right down the middle of the sidewalk here? Right? Where you always walked, is that it? You always walk down the middle? Get the fuck away from me.
Yeah, I forget where we went. Somewhere to get some fish and chips from this place, Mrs. H's in the Water Reserve, and there was like a lineup, and they had like some marks on the ground. Everyone was like, lined up proper, and I was like, oh, I had a mask on. I was like, oh, okay, whatever. One girl had a mask on. A couple people had gloves on, and I was like, oh. And then the people like ordering cooking the food and everything. The girl taking orders had a full mask and like a visor, and then the girl like bringing out your order had a full mask and everything. I was like, oh, that's good, like I guess, but I was like, oh, they're on board.
Yeah, we need robots take over their jobs. It's cleaner and safer.
Well, remote control, yeah, they just go in a little thing.
Yeah. No, we. I don't know. I have no clue what's going to happen tomorrow, let alone in the future.
It's true. Like I went golfing last weekend with a friend that doesn't live under my same house. So we each had to rent our own golf cart. And golf's pretty much like you're not really beside someone that much anyway, or other people, in fact. So it was pretty good that way. But there was still like other people that we seen that were like not getting their own cart when they should have, they like obviously didn't live under the same roof, and we're like, hey, just jump on, buddy. And like, I was like,
you can play through.
Yeah. Well, we were
why don't you guys play through, depending on which way the wind's blowing?
Yeah. But then like the golf course that my parents are members of, they have only members this year, and my parents have like their own golf cart that they use there. No one else uses it. So like when they go, if they wanted to go right now, it's just parked sitting there sort of thing. And well, if it's open, they could go but I was like, that's pretty good.
Yes. Much safer on the golf cart. Are you a good golfer?
Average golfer, I guess. I enjoy it a lot. It's fun to get out there and smoke weed and drive the golf cart and then whack a ball every once in a while and try to find it.
Yeah, you're safe distancing because in the woods and in the fucking long grass looking for the ball.
Yeah, like, you know, even like, yeah, on a golf course, you're never close to someone. Like,
Even though golf isn't the most exciting thing to watch, but I do have a lot of respect for being able to hit that little tiny fucking ball to where they want it.
yeah, I can't believe it.
That's a lot of fucking skill that these actual pros have.
Yeah, like I do, I don't know, maybe like 50% of the time the shot goes sort of where I want it to, but the most of the time it does not. And I'm like,
I golfed when I was a kid with my dad, and I actually got to be pretty fucking good at it. And one time we were in Montreal for the expo of that year, and there was a pavilion that we went into. It had a golfing thing set up where you could chip a golf ball into a fucking hole in the curtain over there.
ooh.
So I stepped up, and luckily enough, the very first shot put it right through the hole, and I won an ashtray, a player's ashtray. But then it wasn't really cool to play golf with your dad as you got older in those years. Doing shit with your parents wasn't cool, nor did I think it was. So I gave it up. And then shortly, so a couple years later, all my friends took it up, but I didn't bother going back.
Yeah, that's kind of what happened. Yeah. Well, here, no, I guess for some reason we just decided to play golf. Maybe our school or high school had a little golf thing, and we were all like on the team or something. One of those reasons we all kind of learned. And then when we were like 16 and 17, realized that we could just go to the golf course and pay money and rent a golf cart and fucking play golf, but also like smoke tons of weed and drink beer or whatever. So it was like,
Yeah.
it was awesome.
So I don't know, the Vancouver City Council is talking about allowing alcohol in the fucking parks.
Well, they better allow fucking weed then. Like, Jesus.
That's not going to happen. We think it should, but not a chance in hell they're going to allow weed. They're going to allow booze in a unanimous fucking vote. Right?
Edibles, only edibles, only drinkables. You can have a weed drink. You're like, I don't know, man.
But yeah, I'm not too sure that. Holy fuck, isn't there enough booze everywhere? Oh, fuck.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. The booze
I don't deny people having a drink on the beach, but the consequences thereof are kind of grim. The overconsumption.
At the least, it's mostly litter, because after they have a couple, then they're not worried about the cleaning up the garbage. It's not like they're like a meth addict who's like OCD is picking up all the garbage. They're more just drinking and like destroying, you know. Like,
well, I don't know. I don't give a shit one way or another, but like you said, it should be for cannabis too. But it's not going to happen because the world still fucking hates cannabis. And those of us who consume it. It's very clear to me that nothing has changed since my whole life here, how people look down upon cannabis users and want to come up with rules and bylaws and fucking any form of oppression that they can. What the fuck? There's a town, West Nipissing, not too far from you probably, eh?
No, it's right down there.
It's not Nipissing. This is West Nipissing we're talking about.
Yeah, West Nipissing, right near Sault Ste. Marie, I think.
That's going to be the nice part of Nipissing, the west side. Anyway, they're all bitching now about people growing weed in their backyard before legal plants are allowed to grow because it's too stinky. Right? They're now urging city councilors of West Nipissing, whoever the fuck these people are, what qualifications they might have to make such.
Maybe near North Bay, I think. I think that's near North Bay.
Yeah. Up there on the horseshoe somewhere. So, like, really, come on. Like, what the fuck? You get a right to grow the poor plants in your backyard. Well, no, they didn't say, hey, as long as they're not too stinky. The government, you must have thought, did research, vast amounts of research to determine that there's rose returning out there in the world. Yeah, I don't know. Well, what the fuck? Give you the right to do that. They must have done the research and said, these are really smelly plants. Maybe we shouldn't let them give them the right to do that, but they did. There's an electric scooterist.
Happy camper.
Rose has an electric scooter that she whips around on. It's the funniest thing. All scootered up and off they go. Off she goes, not making a sound.
I know, it's like,
People sure yell at you a lot.
People, she just said people sure yell at her a lot.
More than usual.
scare them. That's why.
More than usual. So yeah, there'll be it's just insane. What else? Aurelia. You mentioned Aurelia earlier.
Yeah, what was going on there? Did I miss something?
No, just a story I ran across today. Of course, every town and city in Canada is reporting every application there is for a fucking cannabis store. Aurelia being one of them. And what the fuck? I discovered that in one of their bylaws in Aurelia is that a cannabis store has to be at least 150 meters from another cannabis store or a methadone clinic. You have to be 150 meters away from a methadone clinic. What?
How many
really?
of those is there? They got a whole bunch? Like, really? Like in Vancouver, there's a few, but there's only a few, like, you know what I mean? And then any pharmacist could technically, like, just distribute methadone. So does that make it a methadone clinic?
What is going on in Aurelia with the need for all these methadone clinics?
It's not a very big place either.
No, it's a small town, for fuck's sakes. I don't know, probably isn't that small anymore, but wow. City councilors, town councilors, West Nipissing, it's too stinky. How do you fucking measure that? And one person complained that she felt like she would get high from the smell. And no one said that you will not. No one responded to her and said you won't get high. They just fucking let her say that. And
She's out there having a whiff and she's like, I'm so baked right now.
I don't know, what if you don't like the smell of lilacs or any other fucking flowering bush that woman or these people may have growing in their yard? You should then be able to say, well, cut that fucking thing down.
Yeah, I don't like it when I go in the back of Morgan and fucking it smells like cow shit. But it always does because that's how they do their shit back there. So we're like,
people, but with cannabis, so everybody's trying to restrict it as hard as they can, but not in Saanich, BC. They want to put one of the government BC cannabis stores in the mall. Oh well, like don't kids go to the mall?
yeah.
Ever? Don't any kids? It's not a known place for kids to go.
Definitely knowing. Let's go to the mall.
Edmonton, they're wanting to restrict the cannabis store there because it's too close to the library.
Well, yeah, you don't want to be all stoned up reading. Like, that's the last thing you want.
They didn't say why. No one ever said in the whole article why that might be a problem. They didn't even mention kids in the scenario. Too close to the library. And you go, like, do libraries still exist? Does anyone go to the library anymore? Except for old time's sake or some fucking thing? Oh, I'm going to go look it up in a book. A book?
Dewey Decimal System. I'm going to go review the Dewey
this
Decimal
is
System.
so much easier to get my information out of a book.
Can I get a little scrap of paper and a pencil? I got to write down this Dewey Decimal number so I can find this shit.
Yes. Rose just came in with a big giant fucking box. You had that on the scooter?
No, I hired a cab to meet me here.
Really? You are hired a cab to meet her here with the box. While you scooted along silently behind.
I beat him.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's cool. So yeah, it's fucking silly. I saw a list today of the compensation, they call it, that the CEOs of the LPs receive. And oh my God, these people receive a fair amount of compensation. I don't know. I think
I'd like a little.
13 million was the guy from fucking Tilray, I think. It's top of the list. And you know, everybody in the multi-millions of dollars, top 10 totaled 125 million. And their compensation here in legal cannabis world.
And they wonder why they're not doing very good. Well, they're paying out a lot on the top end for the no work, probably. So it's like,
Well, nobody wants their weed at the end of the day, and they're not able to produce much of it that they even think is any good.
they're probably paying the growers like shitty. So that's why they should pay the growers that money and then see the quality of the weed just go up. They'd be like, oh, wow.
Well, yeah. Now they're selling off all their grows. Big
Thousand light packages and shit.
Oh, bigger than that. 25 acres indoor. 25 acres. Like, who are you kidding that you can fucking make that adjustment to 25 acres, dude?
I hope a black market person buys it and then they grow a bunch of black market weed there and then sell it on the black market.
Wow. That way, I never thought of that. But, you know, at market value of the property kind of deal. But no, it's ludicrous. And they spent a huge amount of money acquiring all of these fucking properties in the first place, which allowed them to gather billions of dollars out of the stock market. Each one of those facilities, 25,000 fucking acre grow room, was their potential to produce cannabis.
The possibilities were endless, they could say.
And they did. And people gave them money. And now they never used those facilities, or they were not successful for them in any way. Now they're dumping them. You go, wait a second. You suckered me into thinking you were going to use those for something. And I invested my money thinking that you were going to use, right? You don't just fucking do that. How do you get to do that? Pretend? Anybody can fucking pretend that they've got this big building I need all this money to put lights in it, and then as soon as I get the lights in it, you can get people give me more money because now I have the potential to grow cannabis in it, and never do. And now I'm selling it, and you go, how come I lost so much money?
The black market was thriving, they said.
So that's fucking crooked, as far as I can tell. It's like, I don't know what it's like. I've never heard of anything like it. It would be like trying to get investors into this film you want to do, and you said, well, you know, I got Brad Pitt and fucking somebody else all lined up to do it, and then after they invest their money in it, you go out and hire like anybody else for nothing. Right? You go, what?
Like Rand Pitt and
On this list of CEOs would be a lot of ex-CEOs, two of them from Canopy Growth alone, fucking walking away with 10, maybe not as much as 10 million, but 9. Right? Now, I don't know. It's sad that anything should even be talked about it around like that. It stinks. Let us have booze on the beach.
that stinks. Yeah.
Eh,
When I used to go by the U Brew on Davie Street or whatever, the guy that works there, he's pretty cool. He smokes weed and everything, but I would be like, "Oh, it stinks," and he'd like be like, at first he was like, "What?" And I was like, "Oh, it smells like booze," eh? And he just fucking laughed, and I go to Cannabis Culture.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
So
that's funny because he's like the winemaker, like make your own wine there or whatever, but he smokes a lot of weed, so that's good, you know?
well, I think the success in any cannabis world comes from smaller producers, just lots of them. That's kind of what I'd like.
Well,
Why
or
not?
massive attention to detail. Because I have seen it done on large scale on like the black market. You know what I mean? I've seen lots of pounds of very nice weed, you know, all the time, but it takes a lot of work, you know what I mean? But with these legal shops or these legal guys, that's why I was like, oh, for sure they're gonna have good weed because they can just have someone in there. They always have people in these grows every day. Most of the time on the black market, you're lucky if you get a guy in there every couple days. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
these guys that do it right have a guy in there every day. Maybe a couple guys, you know, going through everything, just helping everything out, you know. But that's the difference between like that superior quality I find and just good weed, you know. Like,
Well, the more you try to push it around, the less success you're going to have, and that's multiplied by the acre.
oh
Right.
yeah, like, you know.
And you know, you got to have your numbers right to begin with, and how they've come to that is beyond me, right?
Yeah, and are they just harvesting it too early? Are they drying it really shittily? Are they handling it like crap? You know, is it like
all of the above,
those.
right? Because it's done on such a massive scale, they can't handle the cannabis because there's so much of it, right? That's the problem. You go, okay, well, downsize.
Or upsize your workers, you know, like put workers on like a 20 by 20 area or whatever, like maybe not that small, but a certain area, you know, and that's like, okay, that's team one goes over there, you know, they work fucking 12-hour shifts or whatever.
Why do you need such a vast fucking grow room? Why don't you have a whole bunch of smaller ones that you can actually maintain fairly easily?
Yeah, I guess for investors.
Right?
Investors.
That's what they've done. They've gone to fucking massive football field size fucking things and bigger and beyond to
Next thing you
talk
know,
about
crash
their
roll.
potential, right? How much weed we can actually grow because we got all these fucking things.
Costco.
But even if they built rooms
Yeah.
on like in all that space, you know what I mean, like indoor rooms, and yeah, gave it to a few guys for every fucking couple rooms or whatever.
Well, with the billions of dollars that they raised, you could easily have built the fucking finest bunches of grow rooms you ever seen. You would
Yeah, like
think.
the only one that I've really seen so far, and I haven't got a chance to see it in person yet, is the House of Dankness that Scott from Rare Dankness did in Colorado. They literally built a facility from the ground up for like growing, extraction, and retail out the front or whatever. So it's like its own building that was built from the ground up and engineered. Like he worked with engineers on air conditioning and just like everything, but he still doesn't have the massive rooms. You know what I mean? He has a bunch of like, bigger rooms, obviously, but not like huge. And then just a bunch of different zones going on, and just a lot of workers working these rooms all the time. And like, yeah,
You
it's
gotta be
not
able
like.
to- So these idiots have gone too big. Right? There was massive cannabis shortages because they were so big. Paradoxically. Right?
I know.
No.
It's like, no, they were
How
too
come you
big.
don't have any weed? Because we were too big. We're too big.
You're like too much grow area. Well, we have acres and acres of grow area.
Yeah, millions of
Hectares,
square
yeah.
feet. 4 million square feet.
Oh, what do you
Selling it
produce?
off.
Well, nothing. Got nothing right now.
Yeah. First crop failed, so we gave up. Now we're selling it off to become smaller, I guess. CEOs fucking getting it. 30 fucking $billion.
Well, like they already used all the momentum to get a name, I guess, as good as they really could. Whether it be like a shitty name to some people and maybe it's a good name to others, doubt it, but whatever. And now they're like, oh, we can go smaller now because we just spent fucking a few years fucking heavily promoting, so people just know our name. You know what I mean? And now they're like trying to do it smaller, but
Well,
still
they're
gonna
not allowed to promote.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't even promote your product. So nobody gives a fuck if it's any good. Just how much can we sell? How much can we grow? Right? Calculator after calculator they've gone through, figuring out how much money they're going to make. Like every other grower does.
Yeah, I just picture like those guys in suits around like a big boardroom table with like a pen and the calculator out, like the seed desk, where the guy's like, so if I get 3.5 grams per plant, I'll get
Yeah.
and it gives you the number or whatever. Hey, you're like, well, that depends.
How much more will my yield be? Dude, you're growing it in a bathtub. So
he's like this.
Put it in a
I'm thinking I should get about 8 pounds in the year.
Yeah.
You're like, what? Whippo's good, maybe.
So I should buy that car I was looking at.
I'm gonna get a second mortgage.
Yeah. Now, quite often I told them to expect somewhere between 0 and not enough.
And I'm gonna have to grow more.
Depends a little bit on you. So, yeah, I don't know where it's all headed here. It's on hold for now. But no, I don't hear of any good weed out there yet. So, and nor do I hear about the industry trying to overcome the reasons why there's no good weed out there. They all still just talk about eradicating the black market, and they continue to do so with the raids of people doing online stuff. I've seen about And I don't know, there was some semi-trailer truck fucking pulled over with like a half a ton of weed and hash.
I seen that. Edmonton or somewhere.
Yeah, I can't remember actually where it was, but that that was a lot. And nowhere in the article or anything that I read about it did they suggest why they were pulled over.
Yeah, I always want to know that part. I'm like, well, why'd they pull you over? Were you speeding? Were you fucking swerving? Were you whatever? Like,
Because if you got like a half a ton of weed in your truck, you know, you might want to obey all the rules.
well, I did that one time back in the day when we used to make oil. I had a Ford Ranger, single cab with an open back, like a little pickup, and then in the back of that pickup, I had Rubbermaid bins. 5-gallon buckets of alcohol with the labels stripped off, so white buckets, and I think that's it or whatever. But yeah, like rubber tubs. And I got pulled over because someone called and said I was swerving or something like that. And I told them, I said, well, I don't know. I said I might have been a little bit swerving. I have low air pressure, and I always had the air tire gauge in my fucking thing right there. So I just grabbed it and was like, I could check, and I went to the back and checked, and he the one cop whipped back the little seat and looked in the back and everything, and then they didn't look in the back in these tubs or whatever, but they just and he was like, oh, he said, well, someone just called and said you were swerving and whatever, and I was like, oh, that's weird. I'm like, no, I said it might have been, but I doubt it. I said, and he's like, huh. I said I might have been playing with the CD player back when you were allowed to have a disc man hooked up, or whatever. And he's like, oh, okay, whatever. And they let me go. But yeah, I was just like,
please don't look in the bucket. Please don't look.
That's all I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah. Been standing there like that myself. No, don't.
Well, I was in the drive-through for Tim Hortons. And this one's one of those ones that kind of goes through a parking lot. And then sometimes there's the stop and they go through. So as I got up to that stop, the cop was there and he was like, you go right there. So I pulled and parked, and then all this happened. And then I was like, are we good? And he was like, yeah. I'm like, can I go in and get my order? Because I was still going ahead to get my order. So then I walked in and got it. And the guy said, oh, they were waiting for you for a while, he said. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah, the young kid that was working there. And I was like, huh. He's like, what happened? I said, well, they said I was swerving, and I don't know. I thought I might have been fucking with my CD Walkman or whatever back in the day. And he's just like, huh, and yeah, I was just lucky as hell. But
yeah, that's for sure. yeah, you never know. So I don't know. We'll have to see. So we'll get back to it at some point, someday. But other than that, all the cannabis news is around whether or not it's good for you with a virus.
They say that it fights the virus or blocks it or something.
Back and forth, around and around. Mostly the question, does it help? Can it save you? Is it good to have for the...
I ask the questions more how much is it helping? How much more could it help?
How much money do you need to find out is what it is.
Yeah.
Everybody's... cannabis is good for you. I can't imagine it would be bad for you because there's a virus. How would that happen?
Well, especially
why would that be a concern?
Yeah, they said it was good for the MRSA virus or whatever, and that was not a good thing either. So I was like, oh, it's probably good for this. So.
And they know less about cannabis than they do about this virus. So.
Exactly.
I don't really care what they think.
They should turn that high-powered microscope back onto itself.
Really? No, it's all just fucking trying to rip cannabis apart to get some proprietary interest in that little corner of it, right? For no apparent reason. I don't care, and they're welcome to do that, but that shouldn't be the prevalence of cannabis in our world. Beyond, they've outlawed having connoisseur cannabis, is what they've done, really. They've completely ignored the idea that I would like to savor the cannabis, that I would like to enjoy it and look at it and appreciate it, right? Which most cannabis consumers would like to do and have shown a prevalence for that all these fucking years. Yet, that aspect of it has been denied. You're not to enjoy this in any way. And that's at the core of legalization. That we are not to enjoy this in any fucking way. Fuck you, government and legalization fucking people. Fuck you.
Yeah, it's like, whatever. It was good before. It's going to be good after. But fucking give it a break here. Come on now. Like, just say you were wrong about it and fucking let's move on here. We're good. Now let's grow good marijuana.
Well, the legal industry is mired under all of the rules they accepted to play under, right? That's why they're not succeeding. A lot of these rules, but you don't hear a peep out of them saying, hey, can you give us a fucking break here? Actually do real business, right? But no, they're more than happy to comply to every fucking regulation that is causing them the reason why nobody wants their weed.
And to pay the tax that they have to, yeah.
And all the tax and all the fucking restrictions and bullshit. Right, here's the fucking thing. What did I see? Oh yeah, talking about putting the cannabis store in the mall in Saanich. Right? We have not experienced an increase in undesirable or criminal activities or received any complaints regarding cannabis odors originating from the tenant space. This is in their experience with putting the government stores in the fucking mall. And here's the security features at the government-run stores. Bollards, if you will, at the front and the rear. In case somebody's coming with Humvees, they're gonna smash into the back of this store. Grills on all the glass, locked cabinets and displays, hold-up buttons for the staff to press, burglar alarms and video coverage of all areas. This is what the fucking government store is going through to sell cannabis to me. Oh my fucking God. Or that anyone else would have to go through to sell cannabis to me.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Well, I guess the holdup guy might take the cash, but if they're taking the weed, you'd have to bring like a fucking moving truck in there just to take like all the packages of weed, you know? Like a garbage bag's not even a pound of weed, for Christ's sakes. Yeah, it's worth like $1,000, but
Hold up buttons, right? The prevalence of a hold up. They don't have that in the liquor store, for fuck's sakes. In fact, you can walk into the liquor store and steal whatever you want, and they probably won't do anything about it because they don't want to make a scene. Just want to be left alone to sell the booze.
yeah, most people will pay.
So, I don't know. It's a strange scenario as it goes. We'll have to see. Yeah, it'll all come down to smaller growers and having to relax over time, I guess, the insane and stupid rules they have. But there's so many. Like, we're just heaped with fucking rules now around cannabis since it's become legal, because they've let everybody who wants to make a fucking rule about it, whether it's your landlord or your fucking mayor or your fucking provincial government or the federal government or your neighbor or fucking, you go, what the fuck is this bullshit? And they've all had to make a decision. All these pinheads out there having to make a decision now because cannabis is legal. How do we deal with it? What can we do? We got to have rules. What are the rules? Where can they smoke it? Well, nowhere. Nobody likes it. It stinks. Right? No, you don't.
That's what happens.
Where can you? Federal government said they can grow their own. Holy fuck! What are we gonna do about that? We have to make a decision about stuff. If we say no rules, what do they need us for? Right? If you say rule, somebody's got to enforce it. Somebody's got to administer. Somebody's got to fucking, right? 3 jobs right there in a small town like West Nipissing to go around and decide if the smell is too fucking much. Like,
Just
what
a
the
couple
fuck?
ladies walking around sniffing.
Oh my God.
Well, back to you.
Yeah. That smells like a methadone clinic in Aurelia. That one methadone clinic we go to in Aurelia. Holy cow.
That's funny.
But they're doing it everywhere because every politician, every city councilor and town councilor is confronted with making a decision about this. I don't know. I'm not sure why they have. Federal government didn't say that you need to overregulate this. Did they when they legalized it? Didn't they just say it was legal?
Yeah, it's legal to do what you want here.
What they did was they said, well, let the provinces decide. You go, okay, well, why did you have to make so many decisions?
Like Beaver Cleaver's dad. Just ask your mother there. Your mother will sort this out there. It's legal now. Your mother will sort it out.
And she did in exactly a half hour every week. So I don't know. They just kind of took it upon themselves to heap us with a bunch of stupid regulations. and force that upon the producers of the substance. Right, which is no way to produce this substance whatsoever.
True.
It's fucking stupid. That's what it is. There's no chance of it having success because it's not good cannabis. It's not the right thing for cannabis. You don't fucking, I don't know. Are they doing that with everything? It's not the right thing for corn?
Yeah, they're doing it with everything.
Well, that's no way to run an industry, for fuck's sakes, no matter what industry it is.
True.
We are going to make sure that you produce a lesser quality product and we to charge a higher price. And they've never been confronted with another scenario like this. This is the very first time in history that any of these politicians have had to make a decision about it. Here we have a well-entrenched fucking black market going on in this stuff for 40 or 50 fucking years. And they've never been confronted with that ever. Wishing to yank the product out from underneath that and bring it into society. Right? And the reason that they didn't succeed or come up with a good program is because they're punitive pricks. They just want to punish anybody who did it before. Really. Right? Or who might continue to do it in the face of them coming up with a scheme that is just not very good.
Yeah, like the old punishment. You're like, what?
And I don't know, allowed these companies to fucking expand exponentially to then becoming unable to even produce the product that I was promised. You'd think I'd be promised the kind of product that I was used to. Like during the prohibition of alcohol, it didn't have that as many years to become quite so sophisticated with the black market alcohol. Right? It was pretty sad what they were actually producing compared to what the distilleries were producing. Right? So they didn't continue. They didn't overturn alcohol prohibition and then come back with worse alcohol than they had during the prohibition.
No, like, here you go, boys.
They came back with better alcohol. Potentially it was more expensive, but it was better, right? At least, because that's what anyone would do. But not with cannabis. Cannabis is different. So I'm glad the black market is so entrenched to keep these fucks at bay. It's not our fault that they all decided to dive for the bucks. Right? Got lured by the money out there. Big bucks too.
Black market, $80 billion a year, or whatever. Like,
look at how much money the legal cannabis industry has generated in the short time it has existed compared to the black market, which is actually selling most of the weed to us, right? Which has always been able to do that. You would think in the infinite, if I was given the task, like out of the blue, if you're given the task to legalize cannabis in our world, wouldn't you go and look at the way it was going right now? Notwithstanding that the activities that were going on were illegal, but wouldn't you go and look at that? You go, well, let's legalize fucking building houses. Nobody had ever heard of that before, but houses were being built. They went and looked at how you build a house. You would think, but no, they didn't do that. They didn't want to do that. Why wouldn't they want to do that? It's only because of the prohibition. Because the prohibition was in place and people ignored that. We were not to fucking, it's like you don't negotiate with terrorists. Right? You just don't talk to those people. And that's fucked. Right? And find avenues to keep those people out of it because they ignored your stupid rules in the first place. And they're not, right? Thank you.
I'm gonna run away with one of these.
Pre-rolls. You're welcome.
can't go wrong with the pre-rolls. PR,
No.
PR.
I have pre-rolls. And if a friend does come over nowadays, I give them a pre-licked joint. You just weed in a rolling paper, soaked in hand sanitizer.
Yeah. That's what I used to lick the joint. I just put a little hand sandy and flip it over for them. There.
So at least we probably become much cleaner in our world. And that can never be a bad thing.
I guess, yeah.
So what are you smoking today?
Today I'm smoking a little bit of the Tuna Kush.
Tuna Kush. Interesting. Do you know the origins of Tuna Kush?
No, do you?
Yes.
I would like to know them.
Tuna Kush was weed that came to us in tuna cans. And inside those tuna cans was hash plant. But we all called it tuna. Tuna Kush. Because it was in a tuna can. Now it's become a name and unto itself. It's not. I think it was hash plant.
Really?
Yes, a very good source told me that.
Makes sense.
Yeah. It's not a hybrid unto its own, but it's presented as such now.
Well, it's like the name, eh? They're like, oh, like here I see a lot of amnesia haze. It is not amnesia haze.
You can forget about that.
I'm like, oh, right on, amnesia haze. And I'm just like, oh, that's not it. Where'd you get this? Why do you call it that? Like, what are you saying this for?
Oh, yeah,
People get so mad. I'm like, I don't know. That's not it. I'm sorry.
It's rampant out there now. Just change the name, keep moving.
I guess.
Or
Woke up
this is what, even though that's what everybody down the line said it was. Amnesia haze. You go, wow. You can tell from fucking 2 feet away it's not. A big, thick, rock hard bud. You go, I don't think it's, you shouldn't be able to use the word haze when you're near that plant.
Maybe if they're calling that because they actually forgot what it is. They have memory loss. So they're like, oh,
Yeah.
I had amnesia. Haze? No.
Well, someday somebody will start growing sativas. Another thing they kind of overlooked here in the cannabis world here is their love of sativas. But they don't want to because that don't fit on the calculator.
But it
Yeah,
should
but they have no idea why. They're just, they're as stupid as, well, I won't say that. A lot of people don't know that much about cannabis, really, when it comes to all this shit, right?
True.
A lot of folklore and passed down information and an accepted understanding is what it's become, right? And not a lot of it is correct. But because we were under prohibition, nobody questioned it. You went with what you went with. Everybody did pretty good, right?
Yeah, you got that
Comparatively.
rattered edition of Mel Frank's fucking Grow Bible and fucking the Closet Cultivator and fucking all these books. They were just like no covers. You're like, whoa, what's this? Weed? Okay.
And they actually were pretty much all the same.
Pretty much all the same.
Right, and still are. Right, nothing new has come along here about growing the leaf of the cannabis plant. Keeping a cannabis plant healthy is all you have to fucking do. Like really, like any other plant. It does the rest.
And really not that healthy either.
Yeah, it doesn't come from sometimes the best conditions in the world. But nevertheless, you can make it healthier. There's some way to make it healthier. The folklore in under prohibition growing is that if you hammer it with food, you'll get more weed. Right? But if in fact that's true, I don't know. Potentially, it would have something to do with it. This plant can only require so much food, and that's based on the conditions under which it's being grown. You don't have a fucking light bulb on it, don't need no food. Just start scaling it up from there. Right?
True. It's like, yeah, 1 wattage or something. It's like, wow.
If you're indoor, right, has a lot to do with how much fucking light it's getting, how much heat, how much humidity, all this stuff, right? So,
yeah, we need one of those science, like one of these LP guys, just to be like, let's look at the plant because maybe I only have to give this particular plant so much nitrogen or so much phosphorus, or maybe it uses a little more of this or none of that, like
because we had so much riding on it, because the cops were coming.
Well, we just wanted to cover all our bases because we didn't have a fucking $1 million lab that we could analyze things day by day and be like, oh, is this nitrogen actually getting used up by the leaves or the sun, or is it coming from the soil? What's going on here? Like they could tell us, like, there's companies out there that's what they do with normal plants. So
yeah,
let's step it up.
But because we were in secret and hiding, and we're desperate for information about cannabis, those who would provide such things would take advantage. Certainly the nutrient industry of cannabis is rampant with fucking promises and
Larger yields.
much bullshit about it, right? No farmer hammers their plants with fucking 70 different chemicals that you have in your line of fucking, right?
Yeah,
Sure.
like the cherry orchard I go to, they're not pounding it with fucking all this sweetener or anything like that. They're just like sweet cherries. They're like, yeah, every year they get better. Okay.
Well, if you need to add a flavor enhancer to your situation, you're not doing it right. Right? Nothing wrong with the flavors of cannabis. If you're not getting enough, or there's other reasons for that, it's got nothing to do with your food. No, we just hammer food to it because we'd rather err on the side of caution than give it too little. No one's ever even looked for that fucking scale. What's too little? How much does it need? Right? Might as well give it too much every time just to be safe.
True.
But what does too much do to the process? Right? It all plays together. And what's the point of giving it too much? Where
Well,
does it?
people use
Right?
it as a gauge now. They give it too much and then they dial her back a bit.
And then they flush it all out for no apparent reason. If you hadn't given it too much, why the fuck would you need to flush it out? And do they even understand why this is a thing? Do they even know why they switch from a fucking grow to a bloom formula? Not a chance. Right? Or how you would actually achieve that on your own.
Well, it's the book said so, Greg. At week 4, you switch from the bloom to the grow to the bloom.
And then you get bottle number 32 and you mix that together and put it in. All they've done in these things is just ripped apart nutrients, macro and micronutrients, and put them in separate bottles that you don't even need to fucking know. You don't even need to know this shit. Cannabis plant in your room needs exactly as much food as it needs, and no more, no less. What? Can only suck up nutrients based on how much fucking light it's getting. Really? Isn't that how that works? It sucks in photons and fucking CO2 and it turns it into fucking cell growth by sucking nutrients into the roots now.
Pretty much.
Like I say, if you don't have a light on, it doesn't need to do that. If you have a very weak light, it doesn't need to do it very much. That's why they don't grow. More light, more growth. Too much light, not enough food, trouble. Too much food, not enough light, trouble. Right?
It's true.
So,
Get that fuck up.
because we've chosen to do this under prohibition, we've allowed the food companies to tell us that we should fucking feed these. How they test this food, a lot of these people, is to toxicity. How much can I give this plant before it dies? And then I'll scale that back to the user as little as we possibly can. We want you to use as much food as you possibly can because we know there's so much at stake. You're not a wheat farmer. You're not growing tomatoes. You're growing fucking illegal substance. So people have used just about anything to grow weed. Oh my fucking God. And it all worked. Huh. Jordan of the Islands, famed seed producer, told me the best weed that he felt that he had ever grown was the first weed that he grew. Someone had given him a couple of clones. He didn't know what to do with it, so he bought a bag of sunshine mix, cut it in half, put those out in the bush, stuck the 2 clones, one in each, and left. He said it was the finest weed that he'd ever grown outdoor in his life. When he came back in September, did nothing for it. No food, no fucking nothing. So I would have to think that the minimum requirement of food is what you would try to achieve. And then, see, this whole business of flushing comes from essentially a plant that would be grown outdoor. Cannabis grows quickly using up nitrogen. So by the end of the season, the available nitrogen around cannabis now has been depleted. Right? So to what degree, I don't know. But the plant then switches to its need for phosphorus and potassium for flowering. Not too sure if that's true. Might be because that's all that's left now, because it used up all the nitrogen. I don't know how that works with the plant, but that's the way it would be, right? So this is our notion of having to switch to a bloom formula, rich in what's left over after the nitrogen is gone. Didn't mean that that stuff was not there to begin with and being used along the way. To what degree, nobody knows. Right? So, but we're pretty cut and dried when it comes to doing this. It's fucking this way or our way. That's it. That's all.
Well, you don't want to mess up your smoke, you know? It's like you want to smoke this at the end, you don't want to waste it.
That's the thing, because there was no choice. You had to succeed at this, or there was no fucking weed. A lot of other people are dependent on for that too, and to keep you alive. So, so yeah, what do we know, eh?
We know weed's good. We know weed is great. We know it's all gravy.
And we know the difference.
No, they don't know.
So thank God for the people who are growing small batches and doing it really well. That's where it's at. Someday, and I don't know, me, I would prefer you not to touch my weed. Why don't you hack it down, hang it up and dry it, package and seal that branch up really well, and I'll buy it. It's kind of how I'd like to have it, at a cheap price and done really well.
Yeah, contactless.
Yeah, I'll trim it myself. You don't need your machines. You don't need all this shit. You just need a box this fucking long to put the bud in. Right? I'll take it like that, with a little window in there that you can look at. How about that?
Yeah.
Vacuum sealed, so it's not going to deteriorate in any way before it gets into my hands. It's fairly important. This ain't a fucking rutabaga.
Well, you want them up for $5, eh?
I do. It costs them about 10 cents a fucking pound to produce. It's not very much.
Especially an outdoor or greenhouse.
Yeah. Except nobody will buy that from you at the end of the day. I don't know how that all works. It's very suspicious. They've all dove into that potential of growing outdoor now because it's so much cheaper, they're all saying. Like, you go,
Hi, Cookie.
on the big screen up there. Life size. All right. Well, I'm glad you're doing good, brother.
Yeah, glad you're doing good too.
Nice to see you as always.
Yes, good to see you guys. Have a good week.
We will. It's, Rose has been building gardens all over. The house is surrounded with gardens now.
Good.
So yeah, it's not so bad here. Like you, we have a yard and we can go outside. I feel quite sorry for people who are living in the boxes in the apartments that don't have access to outside. That's fucking hard to. So I'm not surprised that people are itching to get out, because there's a lot of people, certainly in this city, that live in that kind of scenario, where all you got is outside.
Yeah. Imagine if I still live downtown.
So yeah,
Right? That would be horrific.
so I don't know. We'll see how long this lasts, but it'll be good to get back to. I don't know. Maybe the
Back to
last
something, eh?
back to something. It'll be back to the same fucking thing, but just with more booze. We might as well talk about having more booze here during the pandemic. That you can have booze on the beach. You can't even go to the beach, but they must be placating the people, right? Have you done that 3 times? Thrown a joint over your head today?
Yep.
Good, because you did it almost identically each time, and I thought, what the fuck? I thought I saw that before, and now I think I see it again.
I'm throwing them out the door.
I wondered.
I gotta really give it a good one.
All right, well, thanks a lot to everybody for joining in today. Hope you're all safe and sound and getting safer and sounder. Keep up the good fight and
Smoke lots.
Yeah.
You don't get the COVID.
I think that's true.
Yeah.
Cannabis
Viral protection.
is good for you.
Right there. Viral protection.
And thanks to Anil too for helping out today and getting us zoomed in. Are you still there? No. But they can't hear him. He is still there. Oh. So that's good. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. Until next time, I'm Marijuana Man, and with Rose. See you soon. Peace and pot.
Hi there, welcome to the 420 Lifestyle Show. I'm Carly Marley. She's taking a dab. Thanks.
We can play the Sick Moose video.
Oh yes, Sick Moose video. Let's play the Sick Moose video.
All right, welcome to the THC show with Neil, where we talk about the unpleasant truths of our system and our democracy here.
I help patients. I know what you're saying. I got rated for growing, and I'm staring at the cracks in the wall doing time, and I'm trying to figure out who I hurt. No victim, no crime.
And we look for avenues of hope and ways that we can change some things. As you can see, there's a lot of people, and there's a lot of care packs that we're handing out there. I am not a criminal.
Wow, look at this. Right, here we go. It's 420 for sure now. Got you.
And I'll be back next Tuesday for another episode of THC, Truth, Hope, and Change. Go about changing the world as best you can, and while you're doing it, just have as much fun as you can. Thank you.
Hello there, first-time viewers. Welcome to Pot TV. Welcome to Pot TV.
Everybody knows the go! Let them 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 go!
It is only now once we've reached this point of critical mass, that I could really tell you the story, because that's the interactive nature of the internet.
Pot TV is an internet video-based site. We've had over 6 million shows watched. We get about 10,000 shows watched a day. Shows on growing marijuana, medical marijuana, politics of marijuana.
And at that time, most magazines or books revolving around marijuana were prohibited literature.
From cookbooks to grow books, books about the cannabis culture, mushroom books, even psychedelic books.
The mass injustice being done, where millions of people in this country are being scapegoated, having their rights and their property and their leisure time and their privacy and their freedom of movement all stripped away from them.
And they pulled me off the line. They pushed me down and put me in handcuffs. And they locked me in the patio.
This is what it's all about. A little green plant. You, the taxpayers, are being asked to subsidize a war on a little green plant.
I know it's scary and difficult and frustrating, and politicians are a fraud. Try and change that and be a voice of truth.
For many, many years, decades.
In 2001, Canada legalized marijuana for medical purposes.
Pot TV news flash breaking story, July 9th, 2003.
I became leader about 9 months ago.
You have how many locations, and how long have you been serving the people of the community for?
Well, I started in 2004.
Because as long as you're not hurting anyone else, as long as you're not causing any harm, then why should you be dealing with police or prisons or agents of the government?
A former DEA agent and author of Powder Burns, Cocaine Contras and the Drug War.
In the media often, and the media reports uncritically all too often.
I saw this video and I was like, whoa, man, seems like there's something to this.
Join me weekdays on Pot TV.
We're going to be doing a new show here on Pot TV.
On Pot TV, Inspiring Hour combines poetry, music, art, video clips, and photographs with a variety of interesting guests who are involved in the medical cannabis movement.
Comes on air at 4:20.
Cannabis indica, or Indian hemp. It was tasted by the priests on sacrificial occasions.
So I'm gonna stop and smoke a joint. Just figured I'd show you my surroundings here. Beautiful, beautiful little flowers everywhere.
Hemp and its many applications, how hemp can be made into paper and fuel and clothing and that.
2 different samples.
Now these are the same cut, grown in the same room with 2 different soil mixes.
As a line diagram, okay, and this is a cross-section of a bract.
Now on some of these plants too, there's something called pre-flowers that form. Sometimes 8 to 12 weeks into the veg cycle, you can look 3 or 4 sets of branches down from the top. Hey, wait a second, I'm not even smoking joints. I'm talking.
We need real cannabis dispensaries. Many patients who use cannabis as a medicine need access. You're taking the medicine away from sick and dying people.
Let's overgrow the government. Let's have more marijuana than they can ever stop.
But while you sit here enjoying this, remember those who are in prison this moment, locked away from their loved ones, locked away from their friends, and that could be you.
Just want to say thanks for watching Pot TV. You can't get higher on the net.